And
Right.
then when it comes to meeting Muslims for the first time, I had been studying political philosophy, and that led me to be more interested in politics. And then, of course, 9/11 happened, which made me want to understand what's happening in the world and why is this happening? What's
Mhm.
really going on out there that
Right.
would cause something like this to happen? And
Hmm.
so my investigation of that ended up taking me overseas, and I went to Palestine, and I ended up in the West Bank as an international observer. And
Oh,
where when I was there, so that was actually my first time interacting with Muslims. It was my first time being kind of embedded with Muslims. Of course, we were with Christians as well, and Jews as well. It was my first encounter with Muslims. And I was given a little bit of background knowledge, like about the culture and, what's polite and what's not polite, and some basic words and phrases to interact with them there. But
hmm
definitely being there was powerful on a few levels. One of them was that I did get to hear the call to prayer. I got to hear the Quran that I had been reading for a year at the time
Wow.
recited, which
Mhm.
was extremely powerful. And
Right.
then, yes, there was the interaction of the actual Muslim community
Mhm.
with me, and what I witnessed and what I experienced as being, a part of their lives for several weeks and living inside their homes and, experiencing like daily life with them under severe circumstances. Seeing the power of their faith, which I came to realize like later on, because obviously I was there in very worldly interests at the time.
Mhm.
And one of the first things that really started to pique my interest was when I saw, one woman. There was so much destruction, so much devastation, and seeing a woman who had basically lost everything, and she was literally standing in front of the rubble of her home, her family home, with all of her belongings inside, just having lost everything.
Oh,
And she's saying this word, repeatedly, Alhamdulillah. And
wow.
so, being curious, I asked one of the, Arabic speaking people I was with, like, what is she saying? And they translated it to mean thank God, which, now I know it means even more than that. But
Mhm.
at the moment, it caused so much cognitive dissonance for me. Like, how could someone having experienced that level of devastation and destruction and living under these circumstances for her lifetime, like she was a middle-aged woman,
Mhm.
um, how could she be grateful to
Mhm.
God in a moment like that? How could she be
Mhm.
faithful? How could she be thankful? And
Mhm.
so that really was something that, created, like opened a door in my brain. Like, what
Mhm.
is that? I need to understand what this is all about. And so the level of faith that some of the people had, of course, it's not ubiquitous, but some of the faith that some people demonstrated and
Mhm.
their commitment to being good people, to being
Mhm.
kind, to being generous, to being patient, um, and just being good natured and being forgiving,
Mhm.
the level of all of those qualities I just mentioned was higher in some of these people than I had seen in people who are living, lives that you would imagine you would want to be grateful for, right? So
Exactly.
it's like, yeah,
Exactly.
living through this devastation and then having that gratitude, and then not feeling that somehow God had forsaken them.
Right.
Why me? Why is this happening to me? But instead fixing their intention on, I am going to come out of this experience with the most pure soul I possibly can. And how am I going to do that? By being the best person, with the most goodness, the most kindness, the most patience, maintaining my prayers, maintaining that connection with my creator, and realizing that, all of this could be good for me in the end. And that was so powerful, seeing that and feeling that and living amongst people who are actually living that way was
Right.
incredibly powerful.